This slide will move into discussing obscenity and the Miller test. I included this picture of Chief Justice Burger because Reese cites the Miller test a lot, and Chief Justice Burger's opinion was crucial because it created the three-pronged test that still defines what counts as obscenity today. Under the Miller test, expression is only obscene if it appeals to prurient interest, depicts sexual conduct in a patently offensive way, and it lacks serious artistic, political, or scientific value. Reese argues that drag cannot be regulated as obscenity because it does not meet any of this criteria. He says that drag performances do not depict sexual conduct, let alone in a patently offensive way, and they clearly contain artistic, cultural, and political value, and for that reason he feels that drag falls completely outside of the category of unprotected obscenity. From here, Reese goes to show that recent drag bans in Arizona and Tennessee, like mentioned before, stretch the Miller test beyond its limits, as they treat offense and discomfort as the same thing as obscenity, which is something that the Supreme Court has ruled against for many years. And he uses an example to prove this point. He cites the case Brown versus Entertainment Merchants, where the courts refused to expand the obscenity exception to expression that was merely disturbing or controversial. And he does this to show that courts cannot label expressive art as obscene simply because they dislike or disagree with it. I think that this is one of Reese's stronger I think Reese's use of the Miller test and obscenity is one of the stronger points in his argument. He makes a compelling case that drag bans distort the Miller test by treating moral discomfort as if they were equivalent to obscenity. The danger he highlights, and I feel like he could push even further, is that once offense is allowed to substitute for the kind of clearly defined narrow category of expression Miller requires, then the entire obscenity framework loses its coherence. His assessment is especially strong because even if a court tried to argue that a particular drag performance might satisfy appealing to prurient interest or patently offensive sexual conduct, I think it is very clear that drag does have serious artistic, political, and cultural value, and therefore would strike down the Miller test. Under Miller, any serious value removes the expression from the obscenity category entirely, which makes the ban's reliance on obscenity especially weak.